Shall we start? So hello everyone, very warm welcome to all of you on Civil Guru platform. My name is Akhilesh and we are meeting here for environment and ecology preparation. In the last class, we discussed about the fundamentals of environment and ecology, and you get acquainted with the terminology which is related with environment. Let's proceed today's class. Yesterday we talked about adaptation, and the process of adaptation. We have seen that animal and plants they change themselves according to the prevailing environmental condition. In order to exist in particular environmental condition, you require certain kind of adaptation. Adaptation is what? So that you can exist in that very environment, so that you can properly exist in that very environment. Not only this, you will also ensure that your existence is going to be long lasting. That means the environmental condition, whatever the environmental condition, is going to be conducive for you. You will create some kind of physiology, you create some kind of morphological change, and you become adapted to the environment. For example, let's talk about plant community, how they get adapted to the changing environmental condition. Like if I say that there are some shed loving plants. So if you see these shed loving plants, you will find that they happen to grow even in very low light intensity. Very low light intensity. These shade loving plants, they can grow in very low light intensity. Have you seen that shade loving plants? You will find that their chlorophyll content is going to be higher. The leaves are going to be more greener as compared to the what you can say sun loving plants. Okay, so they have more chlorophyll in their leaves. So presence of more chlorophyll ensures required insulation, because the shade loving plant get adapted to the shade because of the availability of more chlorophyll, and this extra amount of chlorophyll will ensure the capturing of light even in shade. So the kind of adaptation they are showing, their chlorophyll content become higher, so that they can live in the environment which is going to be shed, okay, low light intensity. And these shed loving plants are called as cyophytes. There was a question in UPSC and it was a one-liner, and that was about this cyophyte. So what are the cyophytes? Cyophytes are shed loving plants. They have more chlorophyll content, and they have increased their chlorophyll content in order to capture light even in a very low light intensity. Are you getting my point? Okay. Well, there are some plants, they used to live in high light intensity. High light intensity. They are called as heliophytes. Heliophytes. The word helio is meaning sun. That means sun-loving plants. Sun-loving plants are tree. They have their own kind of adaptation. And you can find so many heliophytes and different life forms. It depends upon the prevailing environmental condition over there. Are you getting? Suppose that if the condition is very harsh, temperature is very high, of the range 45 degrees centigrade, and there is precipitation, that is rainfall, it is less than 15 centimeter. Okay, this kind of climatic condition representing which zone? Where you will get all these climatic condition? Come on, tell me. Yes, in desert area. In desert area, absolutely right. In desert area, you will get this very high temperature, less than 15 centimeter precipitation, isn't it? So in desert area, especially the hot desert, that means a tree has to survive all these extreme conditions. And in order to survive these extreme conditions, they have certain morphological as well as physiological changes. And after doing these changes, morphologically as well as physiologically, they become a group of plants. They are called as xerophytes. They are called as xerophytes. Okay, they are called as xerophytes. So group of plant residing in desert condition are called as xerophyte. What kind of morphological and physiological change they will bring in their, what you can say, body structure? Let me tell you about something, because you can expect one question from here. So let's talk about morphological change. Morphological change. Just suppose that you are a tree. Nah? For time being, you just consider yourself, you are a tree and you have a huge leaves for photosynthesis. And as much huge leaves you are having, you are going to do this photosynthesis very well. So it's a tree having huge leaves. Okay, consider you are this, and everything was fine, that moderate light intensity was there, proper rainfall was there, abundance of rainfall was there, so you have availability of water without any problem, you can live over there. But try to understand, if there is water scarcity condition, like desert like condition prevailing over there, so what will you do? Will you use these leaves? Means if you are using these leaves, so you know that there is a phenomena of transpiration. Transpiration. This transpiration is what? Effusion of water, or the water vapor is given up by the plant in order to make itself to fight with heat. Because when there will be evaporation of water, evaporation, so due to evaporation, what will happen? There will be cooling effect. Cooling. And once there will be cooling effect, the enzymes inside the plant will work, isn't it? But this loss of water, this transpiration is going to be loss of water. You are a plant in those area of rainforest where you can accommodate this loss of water, because huge amount of rainfall is there. But when you are in desert area, this loss of water is going to be life threatening. That means water conservation become your first priority. So you will conserve the water. So in order to conserve the water, you need to reduce this transpiration. You need to reduce this transpiration. So for that, what will you do? You will say to your leaves, now you should not be so broader. Come on, get modified into spines. So the plant get modified, the leaves get modified into spines. Spines are having less surface area. Less surface area, that means less surface area exposed to the heat. So less transpiration. That means modification of leaf to spine. leaf to spine is just to reduce the surface area, and once this surface area get reduced, this transpiration is drastically reduced. Are you getting my point? That means this tree understand if I want to remain in a situation which is having desert like climate, so I need to discipline my water management. That means I need to conserve this water, and in order to conservation of this water, the plant have modified their leaves into spine. And invariably in all what you can say xerophytic plants, you will find such kind of modification. Either they have reduced their leaf size very small, or they have just modified their leaves into spines and thorns. Okay, just in order to reduce the transpiration, or you can say water loss. So these xerophyte happen to bear this spine because of the fact they get adapted to the prevailing environmental condition. Okay, and this adaptation is not just a blink of second. It is not like that. It has taken place through many years, isn't it? And now you are going to have the cactus. Okay, so xerophyte plants have morphologically changed, are getting adapted to the prevailing condition, and then they have changed their leaves into spines. There are many modifications. There are many morphological adaptation. There are physiological adaptation, like, let me explain one physiological adaptation. You know photosynthesis? Photosynthesis. It is a process in which carbon dioxide is fixed into glucose, and in the process oxygen evolution takes place. This is the photosynthesis which is taking place in all the producers. Okay, and you are a plant and you require this carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, and you require oxygen for respiration. So you have some pores on your leaves which is called as stomata, through which you will go for gaseous exchange for photosynthesis as well as respiration. And these are the pore in leaves which is also responsible for transpiration. So these stomata helps in these three things. Transpiration. Okay, that means opening of stomata means exchange of gas along with transpiration. You understand? Okay. Suppose that it is day, and you know the day temperature in desert happened to be 50 degrees centigrade, and you are a plant in desert area, and for gaseous exchange you opened your stomata. As you open your stomata, what will happen? At very high temperature, to withstand this very high temperature, you start evaporating water. That is transpiration. That means if the stomata is opened in the daytime, there will be transpiration, and the transpiration is what? Loss of water. And what is your objective? Unilateral moratorium to withstand in the desert area is to conserve the water. That means when this stomata is open, there will be loss of water. So will you go opening your stomata in day? Answer is no, not likely to go. So how come you will take this carbon dioxide for photosynthesis? This is the problem in front of you now. So you have devised temporal variation. Means what you did at night, you take the carbon dioxide inside, because at night there is low temperature, and you have taken the carbon dioxide. Okay, and you change it into C4 carbon product. C4. Okay. And you keep it this carbon, because carbon dioxide is a gas, and you are a plant, you don't have cylinders. So once you have this carbon dioxide inside, so you need to keep it in somewhere now. So you need to change it into some substance that can remain inside. Otherwise, the gas will not be kept properly. So this carbon dioxide has been changed into C4 substance. I'm not going in the details of science. Just understand this C4 carbon product, that is crassulaceous acid. Okay. So at night you do this. And in day, without opening stomata, you can process this C4 into glucose. That means in day, when this sunlight is there, by using the sunlight, you have processed this raw material into the glucose. That means you perform the photosynthesis in two parts. At night, you absorb the carbon dioxide, and in day, that carbon dioxide is going to be fixed into glucose. And what normal plants are doing, same time in day, the carbon dioxide is absorbed. It is changed into this carbon dioxide is absorbed in daytime, changed into C3 product. And this C3 product has been changed into C6H12O6, that is glucose. This is normal cycle taking place into 75% of the plant. And that's why the plants are also called as C3 plants. C3 plants. Okay. And it is happening in day only, but due to certain problem in desert area, you are not allowed to open your stomata in day. So you are opening your stomata at night, absorbing the carbon dioxide at night, changing it into crassulaceous acid, that is C4 chemical. And in the day, once sun is there, you take the sunlight and make your food. That means you adapted to a temporal variation of your physiology, which is not normally occurring. It is C3 cycle which is taking place in the daytime only. But if you go for this C3 cycle, certainly it will associate it with loss of water, and that should not be done. Are you getting my point? So the xerophytes have developed C4 cycle. That's why they are called as C4 plants. This cycle is also termed as CAM cycle. There is, although there is a technical difference in CAM and C4, that is part of your academics of science. I'm not going in that detail. Indeed, both are C4 and CAM cycle happen to be of temporal variation or fixation of carbon dioxide. And they are just to conserve the water. So don't you think this is the physiological adaptation that xerophyte have performed, or adapted, or bring it in their, what you can say, day-to-day life? Answer is yes. So in order to get adapted, these are the things which the xerophyte used to do. So one I said to you, modification of leaf into spine. Can you write this? You understand why this modification? Reduced surface area, less transpiration. Then following C4 pathway, Third, you can write sunken stomata. The stomata are embedded. Sunken stomata. Fourth, swollen stems. Swollen stems in order to store water. Try to see the xerophytes. They have the swollen stem, and the stem is full of water. So they store the water over there. Not only this, the plants are also making certain protein, the protein proline. Okay. And these protein are going to be heat shock protein. They are called as heat shock protein. And these heat shock protein helps the plant to sustain the life in very high temperature condition. To sustain the life in very high temperature condition. Protein like proline. Do remember this proline. And the heat shock protein are also termed as one more term which has been given in your NCERT, that is chaperonins. Chaperonins. So what are the chaperonins? Chaperonins are the protein, heat shock protein that help the plant to get adapted to the xerophytic condition. So do remember proline and chaperonins. Okay, heat shock protein. So these are the modification you will find in xerophiles. There are physiological modification and there are morphological modification. Okay, and hence xerophytes are a distinct life form. You will find the vegetation of xerophyte in the area happen to be hot desert, isn't it? Likewise, if there is high salt concentration, and you need to grow in this high salt concentration area. So you need certain kind of adaptation for it, like mangroves. These mangroves are the coastal vegetation. They happen to be in the area of saline water. So in saline water area, they need certain kind of adaptation and they get adapted. They need some extra organs, they need some strategy, and all those things is going to give adaptation to mangrove for the best suited in the high salt concentration. And such plants are called as halophytes. So the plants that can tolerate high salt concentration are called as halophyte. Do remember there is difference between halophyte and heliophyte. There is a little bit synonyms. I mean, the pronunciation is quite similar, but do remember they are strikingly different. Heliophytes sun loving, and halophytes they can withstand high salt concentration. That means the mangroves, the coastal vegetation, and they have the adaptation to high salt concentration. What kind of adaptation they are having? Let's list it down. First, they means their leaves are containing salt glands. Their leaves are containing salt gland. At the tip of the leaves, the salt gland is present, and from this salt gland, the extra salt is taken out from the water they are taking. So they have the salt glands. The work of the salt gland is whatever the extra salt absorbed, it will be separated from the water. The pure water is going to be utilized and the extra salt is taken out. So presence of salt gland you will find in mangrove plant, in halophytes, isn't it? Next, they have water logging condition. Always. So once they have water logging condition, so they ensure their development or not? Certainly yes. Let me explain a little bit more, and I want to know your understanding of this soil as well as plant relation. So there is upper layer of soil. You know this? Come on. Soil. And inside the soil you plant a tree. there will be root, there will be shoot. So root will also be there. Okay. So what is the work of soil? You know? Okay. That means the soil is having nutrient supply. Nutrient, those macro and micronutrient which we discussed in the first class. So they provide nutrient, isn't it? Okay. So all the mineral is provided by soil, and the soil is also providing water. So the water table getting recharged, and soil is having certain capillary, and through those capillaries, the plant will absorb the water. Is it clear to you? Okay. And this soil is also provide air. Will you appreciate this or not? That's why you go for plowing the field. Once you plow the field, there will be soil get aerated. And once this aerated soil is not there, certainly you are not going to have well-developed plants, because root requires oxygen. That's why आप भी जब बागानी करते होगे तो कुछ दिनों के बाद you do that. गुड़ाई करते हैं ना? So why you do that? Just to supply this air in the soil. Why you require air in the soil? Basically, अगर आप प्लांट हो, आपसे पूछा जाए कि भाई एयर, why you require air in the soil? तो आप कहोगे भैया मेरा जो रूट है वो मिट्टी के अंदर है, and it requires respiration, so that's why I need air. Otherwise my root will not well developed, and if the root is not well developed, how come I will absorb the water as well as nutrient? So my growth and development gets jeopardized. So certainly I need aerated soil. You understand this? Okay. So this root requires air for respiration. And listen, when there is coastal vegetation, so this coastal vegetation is having water logging condition. I'm just drawing this yellow as a saline water logging condition. Well, this is your soil, and just above this soil, you are going to have water logging condition. Now, you will ask to water, sir, how come I will get my air back? Because you have created an interface, water logging condition every time. So I usually take this air or oxygen from atmosphere directly. The soil and atmosphere is under the continuous contact. So the air is get diffused inside the soil very easily. But now there is water logging condition. A extra interface has been created between the atmosphere and the soil. So don't you think that air availability to root is going to be reduced or not? It will be reduced. तो इनको जवाब मिल गया सरकारी कि भाई वाटर लॉगिंग तो रहेगी. अब आप देख लो आपको क्या करना है. तो ये भी मैंग्रोव है. इसने कहा कि ठीक है, I will get adapted to this. इसने कहा okay, let's develop some extra root and let me show my metal to this water logging condition, and there will be extra root developed. They are negatively geotropic roots, and they are coming on the surface of the soil, above the surface of the soil, around this tree. These roots are called as pneumatophores. Pneumatophores. These roots are called as pneumatophores. And the purpose of these root is absorption of gases or exchange of gases. Try to understand. Due to water logging condition, there is development of interface between atmosphere and soil, and in that condition, the availability of air to the root is impeded. In that scenario, the plant get adapted to such situation by developing a different kind of root that happen to be negatively geotropic. Matlab, it is not going inside, it is going up. And that is called as pneumatophore. And these pneumatophores absorbing air directly from atmosphere, sending it to root. तो हो गया काम. It's a kind of adaptation. So what I was writing over here, waterlogging condition leads to, अब लिख सकते हैं यहाँ, leads to development of pneumatophores. See the spelling, PNEU, pneumatophores. They are negatively geotropic root meant for gaseous exchange. Meant for gaseous exchange. You understand why pneumatophores are there in mangrove plants? Just to ensure the availability of air to the roots, isn't it? So if you see the mangrove, they are also having some more adaptation, like where you will get the mangrove. बताओ, इधर से नदी आ रही है, the river is coming from this side, bringing some water, and this is your ocean that is bringing some waves. And somewhere in the coastal region, you are going to have mangroves. यहां आप रहते तो इधर से नदी के थपेड़े को झेलते और इधर से ओशन के थपेड़े. So the condition over there is stable or unstable? दोनों तरफ से पानी कभी भी आ सकता है, फ्लड भी आ सकता है, सुनामी भी आ सकती है. So unstable condition, that means the area where mangroves are there is going to be unstable because of waves, because of the flood, because of the river, massive river discharge. So they need to adhere with the ground strongly. That's why they also develop stilt root and prop root. What is a stilt root and prop root? Have you seen prop root? Banyan tree देखो जो ऊपर से लटक रहा होता है, that is prop root. And a stilt root, if you want to see, go in the maize plant, try to see the stilt and prop root. Let me give you the figure. This is the stem, and once you see the ground near the stem, you will find certain root is coming from the stem and protruding inside the ground. Coming from the stem and protruding inside the ground. They are called as stilt root. Have you seen this? Nature को देखा करो आँख खोल के. Have you seen this? Okay, whenever you be in maize or sugarcane field, try to see the stem where it is connected with the ground. This is your ground, and it is just for giving more adherence to the stem. ठीक है? And the prop root happen to be falling from the canopy and again adhering with the ground. They are called as prop root. So this prop root as well as stilt root in mangrove plant as well as other plants also is providing extra mechanical strength to the canopy so that it is unaltered by the water, by the waves. Are you getting my point? So this prop root and the stilt root you can put over here. This where it was. Yes. We have discussed two now. The third you can put prop root and stilt root are developed Prop root and stilt roots are well developed in mangrove plant to provide more adherence with the substratum. In bracket you can write the condition is unstable. Underline करके स्टार मार्क कर दो और ये वाला चित्र अगर आपने बना लिया है, the river water flood as well as ocean current, so that showing is that show unstable condition. अच्छा एक चीज और बता दूं, these mangroves are having vivipary. The word vivipary, have you heard about this vivipary? Well, no issue. This vivipary is actually very much related with animals. Animal is of three types. Some animal used to lay eggs. Some animal give birth to mature child, mature baby, and some animal give birth to immature baby. I am talking about animal, na? Animal. So they are either laying eggs. आपको पता है सारे animal, mature babies, okay, and immature baby like kangaroos, marsupials. They are putting their babies in their perineal pouch for longer duration. The egg-laying animals are called as oviparous. Mature baby, that is viviparous, and immature baby ovoviviparous. Don't get offended with the words, the scientific words. It is important, so you need to learn it now. So this viviparous means the animal giving a mature baby, giving birth to a mature baby. And this vivipary is also the characteristic feature of mangrove and mangrove being plant. So what does it mean? Is it something striking feature, you understand? So plants is giving birth to plant. Why this is going to happen? Because it is the need of the hour. Let me explain what is vivipary in terms of mangrove, or for mangrove, how this vivipary is there. Just make a figure. There is a plant, there is a tree, in fact, mangrove tree, huge mangrove tree, and it is obviously situated in the area where you are going to have water logging condition. Water logging condition. Which type of water, sir? बताइए कौन सा पानी है यहाँ? चलो निमेटोफोर्स वगैरह भी बना देते हैं दो चार, ताकि it looks like mangrove. Okay, this is your mangrove plant, and here you have the saline water. Saline water, water logging condition. Ab just think about this mangrove plant. It has a fruit also. Let me show this fruit with striking color containing xanthophyll and vitamin A, so that you understand eating fruit is good for your health. It will provide you carotene, carotenoids. They are the antioxidant. Whenever you eat fruit of different color, they are having these antioxidant. So you must eat fruit. So what is it? Fruit. Okay. Someone have said this plant, this tree, if you put your seeds, if you drop your fruit in saline water, the endosperm inside the seed is going to die. It will not germinate. You know this? If you put the simple black gram in salt water, sprouting नहीं होगी. अब समस्या आ गई कि भाई स्प्राउट नहीं करेगा तो नेक्स्ट जनरेशन हमारा चलेगा कैसे? आर यू गेटिंग माय पॉइंट? तो इन्होंने किया कि ऐसा करो, जो सीड है, द सीड इनसाइड it will germinated and change into a plantlets. The seed inside the fruit is intact to the plant. At that very time, the seed germination taking place, and this seed germination have given rise to the plantlets. These plantlets, small plantlets of mangrove, and these plantlets detach from the fruit and they get attached over here and they grow in a mature tree. That means to avoid destruction of seed because of waterlogging condition, saline water condition, these mangrove happen to germinate their seed even the fruit was intact with the tree. And in that case, this tree is not giving the seed, rather it is giving the plant. So don't you simulate this as a viviparous? Batao. What is the viviparous? Is begetting the child. So this is simulation of vivipary, and this simulation is because of the need of the hour, because if it drop its fruit in the saline water, this saline water is going to kill the endosperm and there will be no seed germination. So seed germination taking place while the fruit is intact with the tree, and in the tree it is get germinated, and then the plantlets dropped on the waterlogging condition, and this plantlet get developed into the entire tree. And this is called as vivipary in mangroves. So this vivipary is just to avoid saline water, as the saline water destroy embryo and stop the seed germination. So how come this next generation will be there? So vivipary is the adaptation in mangrove. And mangrove is also important for one more reason. They are the part of blue carbon. What is blue carbon? There should be an obvious question. So let me explain this to you. Before that, I would like to tell you one thing, that whatever is taken from the nature after the end of the life, it is going to be decomposed and change into mineral form. You know this complex organic material, whether it is carbohydrate, protein, fats, it is taken from the nature, and after the death, means end of the life, all organic material is going to be decomposed. And who will be the decomposer? It is bacteria, it is fungi, it may be actinomycetes. That means this plant was grown because it has taken this carbon dioxide as a food. Tabhi to. That means it is absorbing carbon dioxide, absorbing CO2. And this plant was small plant and becoming bigger, and it has taken its maximum height, and after ending the life, it is now dead. And after the death, what happened? There is decomposition. Each thing is going to be disintegrated, carbon dioxide sent to the atmosphere. It is the normal process. But this cycle, this carbon cycle, get ceased in case of saline water. Why? Let me explain. Now you have a mangrove plant. This is mangrove, and it is present in a saline water condition. Let me make the saline water condition for you. And this saline water condition over there. And how this plant was grown up to this height. It was started from a plantlet. Now it is grown up to this height because of photosynthesis. And in the process of photosynthesis, lot of carbon dioxide is fixed over here. Will you appreciate this? Okay. So that means it has absorbed lot of carbon dioxide over here. And now its life is going to end. ये बेचारा मर गया, ठीक है, एंड मरा तो कहां मरा? सलाइन वाटर के अंदर मरा. एंड दिस सलाइन वाटर इज द प्लेस जहां बैक्टीरिया जाएंगे या भाग आएंगे. व्हाट इज योर टेक? यस, आपने कभी गले के इन्फेक्शन के लिए गार्गलिंग की है? क्यों करते हैं सर? जो इन्फेक्शन है दैट कॉज्ड बाय बैक्टीरिया, आप जब यू विल गो फॉर साल्ट वाटर गार्गलिंग, you will get relieved because most of the bacteria get killed. Why these bacteria get killed? Because of the salt water, the osmotic imbalance, and उसके अंदर का जो सारा बैक्टीरिया का खाना पीना है निकल के बाहर आ जाता है. That means cell get disrupted. That means bacteria doesn't like salt water. तो जाएंगे यहाँ क्या? इसको बुलाया जाएगा, आ जा, यहाँ पिज्जा है, पार्टी है, बर्गर है, सब कुछ है. बैक्टीरिया आ, डिकम्पोज कर. फंजाई आजा, लेट्स डू सम पार्टी. कहेंगे मर जाएंगे भाई, जान ज्यादा प्यारी है. Some bacteria and fungi will be there, some decomposer will be there, but it is not at that very rate which you can get over soil. Why you are not getting decomposition done at higher rate? Because of saline water, and this saline water doesn't allow the bacteria to come over there. So what is your take? Will this plant is going to be disintegrated? No. That means whatever the carbon dioxide fixed over here, it will remain over here for longer duration or not. That means the carbon dioxide which is over here is not going to be part of the carbon cycle for longer duration. That means if you want to reduce carbon dioxide concentration, these mangrove will help you or not. Yes. So all those marine photosynthetic system are called as blue carbon. Blue carbon क्यों? आज blue है पानी पानी. The name has been given because it is the marine ecosystem. And this blue carbon is good carbon. It is good carbon as it sequesters carbon dioxide and separate it from the cycle of carbon for longer duration. That means if you want to reduce this carbon dioxide from atmosphere, you can use this technique, and that is called as blue carbon. So now you understand what exactly this blue carbon is. Okay. Including mangrove, there are other photosynthetic organisms like algae, marine algae. Okay. All marine ecosystem, because once they are fixing the carbon dioxide, they get dead. They will get going deeper and deeper in the saline water, and in saline water these decomposer jayenge nahi. They will not perform decomposition. So whatever the sequestration of carbon dioxide took place, it is going to remain over there for longer duration, and it is out of carbon cycle, and hence it will help to reduce the carbon emission. That means if you want to reduce carbon emission, you can grow more mangrove, more photosynthetic organism in ocean. Is it? Okay. So these are some what you can say characteristic feature you will get in mangrove. We are discussing the adaptation and we are discussing the life forms. Let me introduce one more life form, that is hydrophytes. Hydrophytes. Phytes means plant and hydro means water. That means the plants loving water. Water loving plants. Okay. These water loving plants, in their cells, special type of cell is present, special cell They are called as aerenchyma. Aerenchyma. So this name is important. Aerenchyma are those cells having huge vacuoles. ठीक है, ऐसे देखो, एक सेल ऐसी है जिसमें they are compact cell organelles and there is another cell in which most of the part is vacant. तो ये aerenchyma है. Something like कि इस सेल ने अपने चारों तरफ ट्यूब बांध रखा है. So if the most of the part is, what you can say, empty, this is vacuole. So what will happen? This cell will be lighter or heavier? Lighter. If you put both the cell in the water, which cell is likely to float? Aerenchyma. Why? Because it has vacuole. Okay, so it will float. And hydrophytes are adapted to float in the water. So these aerenchyma cells are going to be in abundance in hydrophytes. In hydrophytes, these aerenchyma cells are abundant. Okay, the hydrophytes may be rooted, may be free floating, may be submerged. So these are the hydrophytes and they are having aerenchyma. So we talked about xerophyte, hydrophyte, heliophyte, cyophyte. Approximately all life form is going to be over. So inside the plant, you have seen the kind of adaptation, and due to these adaptation to the prevailing environmental condition, the plant have get adapted to the environment. Well, this adaptation was well researched by Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin, during his journey on Galapagos Island. So once he reached to Galapagos Island, he found finches. Finches are the birds. No? Birds. He called them finches. They are termed as Darwin's finches. Okay. So these birds, simple birds, everything is alike. It seems that all the birds are belonging to the same genus. They have same feather pattern, they have same color, but their beaks are different. Their beaks were different. Some have tiny beak, some have long beak, some have curved beak. Okay, some have very strong beak. Beak, you understand? Okay, yes, चोंच. तो डार्विन को ऐसा लगा, यार ये एक ही परिवार के एक जैसी लग रही है, लेकिन इन्होंने अलग अलग चोंच क्यों लगा रखे? किसी को भी लगेगा. Because the same Galapagos Island having almost prevailing condition, just same, even then the same genus is having different kind of beaks. Then he started observing them. कि भाई ऐसा क्या कर रहे हैं? तो he found that some of the finches happen to eat grains only. Some of the finches happen to eat what you can say, insects. Some of the finches are eating insects out of the wood. So they just strike the wood and take the insect out and eat it. And some of the finches are flesh eater. So according to their food habit, they have adapted to their food habit, and the finches are having different kind of beaks. That means the adaptation will give rise to different species. Okay, so adaptation give rise to different species. So only changing food habit have given so many species in the same finches. Just food habit. Different food habit, different kind of beaks. That means adaptation will lead to speciation. Speciation, that means formation of new species. And this adaptation give capacity to the species to exist over there, because nature always posing some kind of climatic condition. This nature giving certain set of climatic condition, and organism need to adapt to the certain set of climatic condition. If this organism is getting adapted to the prevailing environmental condition, this organism is selected by nature. That is called as natural selection. Why this natural selection occurred? Because this was the demand, C1, C2 and C3, that is representing climatic condition 1, 2, 3. And according to the demand, it get adapted with A1, A2 and A3. These are the adaptation, physiological and morphological both. That means meeting all the demand. That means this is the fittest organism. Are you getting? So who will survive? The fittest one will survive. That's why this is also called as survival of fittest. Who will survive? Who will fit to the changing environmental condition is going to survive. And I have taken a very good example of dinosaurs. The dinosaurs were the massive creature on this earth surface, but they become extinct because they are massive, mighty, so they never have a habit to have what you can say shelters. They never have this shelter. One day there was a meteorite fall and there was global cooling, and due to that cooling all the dinosaurs were extinct because they have never adapted to get shelter somewhere. And the dinosaurs, mossy G, the lizards still remain over there. It is very old. Crocodile find shelter inside the water and remain there in changing environmental condition. That means organism need to get adapted to the changing environmental condition. If the organism successfully adapted, it will live, otherwise it will extinct. And whosoever जैसे मान लो ये organism one है, this organism one is having certain set of environmental condition, new environmental condition arise, so it has changed its morphology and physiology, so it will look different, दिखेगा different. So if it is look different, so it is now organism 2. Again there will be certain set of environmental condition, it will change its morphology and physiology, it become organism 3. So don't you think this organism 1 is quite different with organism 3? The answer is yes. So it is this adaptation give rise to different species, and different species exist because they get more adapted to the existing environmental condition. So this is all about adaptation, you should know. And the class duration is over now. Thank you very much for